Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm back with another episode of How I'm Doing It. Today I'm going to give you an update of my front yard. So, last time you saw me grab out some of the dead spent flower heads from this gorgeous plant, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pull out this one and leave this one because it's much fresher. And like I said, the reason for doing that, and it does work obviously, is because pulling this off allows the plant to focus more on the remainder of what is there instead of funneling energy wastefully into a dying flower head. And when I did that, I managed to get two beautiful flower heads, and now I'm going to pull this one so it can continue to hopefully flower for a good while. Now this is the mulch job that I did back in June, and it is still looking fantastic. I'm really proud of this one. Put a lot of work into it. Now I will say I have since learned about how to do this in a little bit easier way in the future, but you live and learn, so I'll show you that one day. I had to take a hiatus, as you well know if you've watched my other videos, because I got a bad case of poison ivy everywhere. This is the current state of my main front yard flower bed in front of my house, and it is totally overgrown. However, I'm going to focus on some of the good things that we have managed to do, my older son and I. This season we managed to pull back these concrete stones to make a more uniform bed edging. If you'll recall, at one point the edging went like this. It was and it was curvy. It curved in there and out there, and it was really more than I could realistically keep up with. So eventually I'm going to get into there and work about getting that cleaned up. And I would like to plant a replacement bush right here because I did have a bush die that we had the lawn service pull up. Something else that my son and I worked on recently, he held the ladder while I climbed up. I had a sprout growing right out of this section of my gutter. Go figure, one of these, I guess one of these tree nuts, what is that, hickory or walnut or something. It's one of the largest trees in our neighborhood. Anyway, it must have dropped a seed, a nut, and fallen down the roof perhaps into this section right here and gone down here and gotten stuck and started to sprout. I mean, this thing was probably as big as this flower. I mean, it was what, 16 inches, and we got up there and pulled that sucker out so it would not destroy the rest of my gutter system. So as you can see, I've got a lot of work to do, but I don't think it will be half bad once I just get down to doing it. And again, we're just going to have to see, because as you well know, I do have poison ivy in this yard, including right here. And something else I will say is that poison ivy looks different in different parts of the country. Our poison ivy, even in different parts of the yard. I've got poison ivy in the backyard growing up a tree that has big, very thick ropes, thicker than this. It's about as thick, the ropes are about as thick as my thumb, and they grow up the side of the tree, and they have like hairy appendages hanging out the side of them, gripping onto the tree and sucking nutrients out of the tree. And that's poison ivy with very big leaves. And then over here, as you can see, I have smaller leaves, poison ivy that grows along the ground, because it can grow along the ground, or it can also grow up a tree. So let me show you an example. I've got some poison ivy right here that I did not pull so you could see. And see, it's growing right there in between, next to my purple liriope, also called monkey grass flower, but it's right there. So I trimmed back a lot of the bushes and things that were completely overgrown. If they don't survive, I'm not going to cry about it. I'll just plant something new next season. If they do survive, great, but I had to get in there and pull out a lot of the overgrowth, including healthy bush portions, because I had to see how much poison ivy was down here that I had to deal with. Now, of course, I learned my lesson from last time. I did do it much safer. I wore proper socks and shoes, proper long pants, I had my gloves. I mean, I did all the good things. I didn't touch my face at all while I was doing it. And then when I got finished, I went straight into the garage, which is right over here. And I've got a washer and dryer in there, 2 washers and dryers. But anyway, I immediately, after I went in there, closed the garage door and pulled off all of my affected clothing so that I could wash it immediately and not even take the possibility of poison ivy oil on my clothes into my house. I just did it right there in the garage, even threw my shoes in the washer also. And then I put it on a very heavy wash cycle with detergent, and then an extra rinse cycle, including the garden gloves. Now, don't throw your garden gloves in the dryer. Once they come out of the washing machine, you don't have to dry those. If you dry them, they're just going to shrink. I let those air dry, but I was much more cautious this time, and I'm feeling good about the idea that I'm going to avoid having a breakout rash this time. Over here, I've got some azalea, I know, right there. I don't know the names of all of my plants, but I do have pretty bushes when they come up in the springtime and early summer. But there was a lot of poison ivy in this circular tree flower bed, and I had to get to it because it was even starting to trail over the concrete stones into the yard. And I was getting more concerned that children or our pets might accidentally get into it. Now, some of this looks kind of yucky, like right here, that is old fabric. Someone had laid down a fabric barrier, which is showing its age and shifting. When I eventually mulch this, and I may not get to it this season, it may have to wait till next season, I will cover that up and make it look nicer. This right here, I ended up pulling up a weed, and when I did, this whole section of dirt and matted together, dried up leaves pulled up together, and it looked kind of yucky and matted together, those leaves do, but it doesn't really matter. They'll get taken care of in time. They'll start to decompose. I'm sure the next few times it rains will help tremendously. So anyway, that's where we are. And of course, this beautiful little bed right here is doing great. These bushes are doing fantastic, and we're happy about that. So that's the current state of affairs. And, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and my yard won't be fixed up beautiful in a day, but maybe soon, perhaps even next season, we'll get it taken care of. All right, thanks for stopping by. That's how I'm doing it.